I'd say it's probably a combination of things. One being your differentiator, what it is that you do that nobody else does, or your process that you or your approach that you take that nobody else takes. For Siegel and Gale, it's simplicity. Everything that we do is all about trying to find the simplest solution, which is not the easiest solution. In fact, often it's the most difficult, because you're trying to make sense of the complex. Um, but I think also another side to it is the people in the business. The personalities and the values of those people, and how they approach things. Um, I think a business is the sum of the people. So a lot of the time, if you have the right people on board, and as a brand, I might be buying from an agency, I'm buying from the people. I'm not buying the agency for the most part. So yeah, I think it's a combination of those two things. If you can get the right people on board, and you have a USP or a differentiator, it's gonna bring you a long way to finding your place within the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and so on that note, like, what's the talking about because you have an experience in that area, and I'm talking about acquiring clients for agencies. What kind of channels, projects, tactics work? And I'm not asking you to reveal your secrets here, but just like, what are the things that you guys focus on to get new business in?
Yeah, so I mean, from the marketing perspective, content plays a really, really big role, obviously, and events. Um, and I think it's about kind of just trying to produce the highest level of content that you can, something that you can be proud of. And this year or actually the tail end of last year, we put together a B2B tech CMO study, which was our second CMO study in 2020, which we interviewed basically 16 CMOs from the B2B tech space, brands like Atos and Microsoft, NTT, um, and we got their perspective on how they've tackled the challenges of COVID, and how they're using those learnings going forward, and looking beyond to the future. And it gave us an opportunity to confirm a lot of what we already knew, um, around things like organizational purpose, and how it's top of mind right now, and can be your North Star and stuff like that. But it was really amazing to be able to get so many perspectives in the room, from such established brands and stuff like that. And for for me, when you're going out to the industry with a piece of content, if you can bring the perspectives of 16 CMOs or senior marketing executives from massive B2B brands globally, and say like, look, I want to have a chat with you, or we'd love to have a conversation, about where you guys are at and how we might be able to help you. If that works for you, great. But if not, here's some, content that we've put together that has like a lot of perspectives from your colleagues and your peers that I think you're going to find interesting. I think it's going to go a long way. I think the key point is really just providing value. Is like, if you ask yourself before each interaction, or before you reach out to somebody every time, am I adding value to this person? Are they going to read this email and say like, right, this is useful and I'm glad this person reached out? Or are they going to go, this guy again, man, he just doesn't leave me alone. Why is he emailing me? And I think if you're able to honestly say to yourself like, yeah, this is providing value to these people, then you've kind of you've set yourself up properly and given yourself a decent foundation to build on. Um, but I think if you're just annoying people, it's not going to end well for anybody.
I remember I used to work in an insurance company, and I went to a conference. It's a very large one, and I went to a conference for from the salespeople, and they were like the top sales guys, having a kind of a sharing their tips and everything. And the guy that was ranked second in terms of sales numbers and all, he said, "Listen, I don't have a lot of advice to give you. The only advice I can give you is I just never take no for an answer." And I was thinking at that time, like, oh my God, this guy, like, I would never want to deal with this guy. Like, I don't know how he actually sells anything. So I think you're totally on point when you talk about, providing value, and I think it's shifting the whole B2B sales space. I think is shifting more towards a sort of hybrid role with marketing, and I think the old days of picking up the phone and just calling people all day, and and trying to be in their face is over. I think, I don't know, but I think it's not going to last very long. It's just something people don't respond anymore to. I don't know. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think people just get so inundated these days with with content and with advertising and with like all these different touch points that that you just can't get away from. I mean, if you looked at maybe 20-30 years ago, when you got inside your front door, it was pretty much your TV or your radio. That was the only way, or posting the mail in the post box or whatever, and that was how companies might be able to reach it. But now it's literally you wake up in the morning, the first thing you have in your hand is your mobile phone, and you open up a website or Reddit or some social media, and you're being advertised to straight away. So I think we as consumers we have higher expectations of how we want to be sold to and how we want to interact with brands. And I think there's a lot of power in the hands of consumers these days on how they interact with brands. And I think if you really believe that you're going to just continuously strong arm people into sales, and that your brand awareness won't be affected, or sorry, not your brand awareness, but your brand perception won't be affected, then you're being naive. Like, people will at some point, I think, turn against that and fight that. And we've seen it. We see proof of it, that the brands that interact with customers or understand their customers and really listen to them are the ones that succeed. Like Amazon, for example, is known for putting the customer first and understanding the customer, and that's why they're so successful. Every disruptor is the same. They listen to the customer and understand the needs, and that's how they end up being disruptors. So if you decide that you're just going to try and force people to buy as much of your product as possible by hiding something in a trial run or something like that, or they making it difficult so they can't unsubscribe to something, it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna serve you very well in the long term.